Hey there, in this video we're going to cover off how you can identify and be notified if a client opts out of your email communication. So it's really important because you don't want them to miss some important messages from you. So let's get stuck in. So in this video, as mentioned, we're going to look at how you can be notified if a client or some segment of your database, essentially you can apply these same principles, opt out of your list. Now, we had a client approach us last week actually about this particular concern that they have, is that those members of their particular program, if they opt out, then they're going to miss some really important communications about the program that they're in. So they didn't want that to occur. Now, there's a way, of course, you can manually monitor this and just run some reports in Infusionsoft to get the visibility of anyone who you identify as a client and if their status is opt out or anything like that. However, that's a very more reactive approach, okay? So there's a way in which you can be notified as soon as they change their status. That way you can actually reach out to them proactively to see, well, firstly, do they mean to do it? And then if they're aware of what the implications are, and so on and so forth. Now, it's critical, of course, to also understand, is there an underlying issue? Are you sending your clients information and emails and content that's not really relevant to them if you've got a high number of clients opting out? So always consider that as well, because that's important that you address that particular issue first. Otherwise, you actually may not even need this setup, which would be of the better approach. But just in case, this does cover it off, so you don't have to do it manually, and you can set up some automation to be notified. So just to kind of recap, now what you know, I'm sure you're very aware, we have contacts in Infusionsoft, and each of them have this email field, and if you've got an email populated in there, then you've got a status that appears here as well. Now, if that changes to opt out, that's when we want to be notified. So there's a particular area in Infusionsoft that can help you out here. So how you get into this area is under My Navigation, under Marketing, select the option called Settings. And if you scroll down here, there's an option here called Email Status Automation. And you can see you've got a couple of options. Now we're going to focus on opt-outs in this case. However, you might have a look at and apply these same principles if somebody has a hard bounce. If a client's email is no longer existent or anything like that, then you would probably want to know about that as well. So apply these same principles to whichever status and changes that you'd like. But the one in this particular case we want to select is when a contact's status changes, and let's go ahead and add that trigger. Now in here, when the contact status changes to, let's select opt-out. And you may notice there's a couple of other options here as well. Of course, you can set up some automation based on those too. So just keep that in mind. So opt out, and then you can actually select what you want to do. Now, I would suggest a task. A task is always a good way to notify that somebody in the team to actually follow up, because of course, if they've opted out, then Infusionsoft's not going to send them any automated emails anymore, right? So a task is always good, and then you can decide on what you want to do about the opt-out. So let's go ahead and create a task. Now, let's go ahead and create a new task, and it's really important. There's one setting in here that you got to make sure, and I'll show you how to do it in a minute, because we don't want this to necessarily be created for everybody. So you might have a database of 1,000 or 20,000. So everyone who opts out, you don't necessarily want somebody on your team or yourself being told and being given a task to actually follow up, because we're going to target specifically the client side of things here. So what we would call this is a client opt out, reach out. And we're going to make this a call for this particular client. that address this, this would be a natural progression for them to give them a call. Now, it could be an email that you send outside of Infusionsoft, or it could be a call, could be something else. So you just choose whatever's applicable for you. So we go client, opt out, reach out, and then we might want to merge in their name here. First name, last name. Now, I don't know why it does that, but let's just cut that from there and put that at the end. And I'm also just going to copy that there. So in the body, I'm going to put their first name, last name, has opted out. They are an existing client, so please reach out via email or phone to confirm. And you might want to put a script in here as to what is to be included in that email or that phone call. Now, I'm also going to make it a lot easier for myself and put in the email address there. You can see there it is, or the phone number in here as well. That way you don't actually have to look at the contact record if you don't want. Please mark this as complete when done. Now I'm going to assign it to me. When is it due? And what's the priority? Now, because of the level of client that this client scenario, one of our clients have asked this question of, like this is a critical task because the info is absolutely essential that they get via email. So if they opt out, then we potentially have some issues here. And we might want to notify the owner. I know some users of Infusionsoft have a coach or a staff member assigned to each particular contact. So if that's the case, then you might want to select that notify owner, or you may want to assign to the contact owner as well. So I'll leave that up to you. And don't forget to mark it as ready, because until you do that, it won't actually work. Go ahead and save. Now that's exciting. So let's just check and make sure that that worked. Hang on a second. Okay, so there's a bit of a quirky thing going on with Infusionsoft, right, of course, when I'm recording this video, but this should work fine when you go ahead and do it, and you'll have this as a new template that you can select from. And this is critical here, is only run this action when certain rules are met. So what we want to do here is add a new rule so that this is only actioned and a task is created if the contact is deemed a client. Otherwise, we're going to get a lot of tasks if you have a lot of people opting out. So client client VIP. Now, you might have different levels of clients, so we actually want to set this up for a particular level of client. Now, it's up to you what you want to do here. And in here, we want to set the rules. So what are the rules? Rule is true when. Now, in this particular case, in this sort of made up dummy example, the client has a specific tag for us to identify that they're a client. Now, you may use tags, you might have a custom field, you may have other ways in which you need to set the rules and criteria. So in this case, we are going to say all of the rules are true, and we need to create the criteria. So the criteria is tags, and we have a bunch here. We're going to use a segmentation tag of current client, current customer VIP. Let's go ahead and save that. And you'll see some of our segmentation, our tag category naming. If you are interested in more details on how to set up your tag naming or the categories, then I'm sure we'll put a link below on where you can access that as well. So let's just say, yep, if they've got this particular tag, current customer VIP, then we want to know about it. So let's go ahead and save and close that. And you can see that when a contact status changes to opt out, we're going to create a task, which is client opt out reach out, and we are also going to run this action when the certain conditions are met. So when they have this specific tag, when this rule is true, when all of the criteria below are true, is that they have the current customer VIP tag, then we want this to actually be triggered. So let's go ahead and save that. Gotta love it when the action is not configured properly and will not run. Got to love that. Now, as I said, there's something quirky going on here. I've never seen it before, but with this one that we've, I think maybe in here, I don't think maybe it likes that. Let's just try that again. No. Anyway, so I know this will work for you. I'm sure I'm just having, oh, here we go. Maybe I've got, let's just get rid of that for a second. There we go. Because I had another task in there. Let's hope that that's it. There we are. There we have it. So let's just recap. Opt out the following rule actions when all of the criteria equal for that particular rule, which is client VIP. Then we're going to have that task that gets created to be sent to that particular staff member. So I really hope that helps. There's another way you can kind of take this to an advanced level of creating some trigger tags and kicking them off into a campaign and sort of getting more visibility of all of the different contacts that you're getting these tasks created for in one central place. But look, this should really cover off most of the cases in which you're going to use it. And again, you can apply these same principles if you have an email hard bounce or something like that. So if it's really important that your clients get your messages and you want to make sure that you are notified if they do opt out, definitely go ahead, use this functionality. It's built to make your life easier. And that's pretty much it. So it's been Mandy Bresser here from Streamline for Success. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I'm sure down below this there'll be some other resources if you want to check that out as well. Otherwise, thanks so much and chat to you soon.